Welcome, everybody. This is Christine Perakis, and we are back with the Career Invincibility Radio Show. I am so excited to bring our guest to you today, who is an incredible resource for us in terms of creating invincibility. I can't wait to dive in with he has a great story as well. I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Bala Subramaniam, who's the director of the BIDMC's Center for Anesthesia Research Excellence and the Ellison G. Pierce Associate Professor of Anesthesia at BIDMC. Dr. Subramaniam has built an extensive research program alongside his clinical career and has developed a deep understanding of the basic and clinical science that informs all of the center's mission. His current research is focusing on perioperative outcomes, with particular interest in postoperative neurocognitive function and the effect of meditation in the perioperative setting and on wellness resilience. And since we're all about resilience, I can't wait to hear from the good doctor, who is conducting pioneering research at the intersection of cardiac anesthesiology and neuroscience to determine how clinicians can reduce postoperative delirium, which is an acute state of confusion and inattention. He's also collaborating with the BIDMC investigators to explore the role of meditation in reducing postoperative delirium. I know that this is going to be so interesting, but also applicable to our everyday lives, and I can't wait to learn how. So without further ado, let's find out how meditation can transform our approach to consciousness and cognition and form a strong foundation that Dr. Subramaniam is working on for the center. Welcome, Bala.
Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for the invite, and I am equally excited to share what my journey as well as what has gone on in the research world.
Well, we are dying to hear about the research and what you're learning and things that we can do for ourselves. But let's take a step back first and talk about what got you here in the first place, because that's the most interesting part for us is the stories, right? Nobody gets to that your level of success or that anyone without having had to take some zigs and zags, I'm sure. So please share with us.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's my privilege and pleasure. So I was born in India in a family of 4 kids, and my parents were hardworking. Dad was a teacher, and mom was a housewife, and gone through the usual rigmarole of struggling for food, but they took it so well, and really our schooling and everything else was really well taken care of. Having studied in a school which was pretty much a public school with a 30% pass rate in the Indian system, but also with the help of my kids, my sisters and brothers, I was able to grow up into the next role, that is high schooling in a good school, and then I got into medical school, which is one of the top schools in India, one of the federal schools where only 60 students go to education a year, and they have to pay very little to get through that. So I was fortunate to go through that education system, which is so rigorous. Then I moved on to All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi, where I did my basically my training in anesthesiology, and it's again the number 1 federally funded school. So I was fortunate to be exposed to all kinds of cases and excellent teaching and mentorship there. And then I was dying to do some research because Dr. Pawar was very instrumental in kindling that aspect of my life. And then I just thought the best way to have good research and also good finances to take care of yourself is to come to the U.S. Because in India at that time, which was about 20 years ago, you could do research or you could earn money, which is one or the other. So I thought this is a better combination. I was lucky to get into Harvard Medical School as an anesthesia resident, and 3 of us came here together and did our residency, stayed on, finished our fellowship, got some privileges to get into Harvard School of Public Health, get some formal training in research, and that basically brought me to look into ways that I can do or by myself or in collaboration with others to improve a patient's journey in the postoperative period after having surgery. So that is basically the in a nutshell. And I think I was fortunate to meet a number of people along the way, been very, very helpful. And my wife, I think the last 23, 24 years, she has been extremely supportive of all my endeavors. I think without her, I wouldn't have been able to do all this. So kudos to her and my kids.
Well, I thank you for honoring your family, right? Very few of us get there alone. And, really, I guess you kind of gloss over, but it's not a short hop from, a family that is struggling to make ends meet and to feed each themselves to having all of these educational opportunities open to you, right? It wasn't that they just came. It wasn't a simple step to that. There had to be some journey in that process as well, and the willingness and the hard work and the focus and intention. What do you think was the secret that helped you have all these doors open for you to find yourself at the best school in the country doing the work that you do now?
Yeah, absolutely. So my parents were brilliant, actually. They were extremely smart, but, at a time when love marriages were not looked upon so kindly in India, they got married. We're talking 1940s and 50s. So they had a love marriage, and so they were kicked out of their, comfort zones in their houses, and so they had to build everything for themselves. So my mom basically became the housewife, and my dad was a school teacher. So building everything by themselves was the reason why we had to go through what we had gone through, but it also gave us enormous strength because all of us were given that priority that education is the number one thing, and then comes everything else. So we were early on drilled with that, and also they had given us some good resilient habits within ourselves that we can face any tough situation, still keep the goal in our minds. And I think I'm extremely grateful for them, and also my brother and couple of sisters, all of them are older than me, who had held that path, and I was there just to emulate them. And since they were becoming independent at a time I was going to high school, they were able to pitch into my education, and so that's how I was able to move on to a private school. And of course, when I was exposed to better competition and better people with other things that I could do, then I was able to focus on, okay, let me just look into this federal school and write this entrance examination and get in. And so that's how I think it kept moving, looking at others and seeing what else is out there, and I can explore those things. And I think that is incredibly, given those opportunities, I couldn't have wasted any one of those.
Right, and the support of your family, that's so beautiful because you honor your wife first, but also your nuclear family, you were raised with also was very supportive of you. So that level of support, again, none of us get through to some success by ourselves, and you recognizing that and acknowledging them for that. The gift is in the reward, right, and your achievement. So I'm sure they're all very proud of you for what you've been able to do.
Yeah.
And, and I grew up that way. It was burned into us, education, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even want me in the kitchen as a female, which was unusual in a Greek family, because they wanted me to focus. And there were two of us in my family, and one of us went on to a great deal of education. The other did not. So again, we have to take the opportunities that are offered to us. And you use that message.
I'll say this, that I never felt that I didn't have anything when I grew up, right? It's amazing that when you grow up, it's basically like I never felt that I didn't have anything, or
Right.
I didn't have many opportunities. Like, I shouldn't say I didn't have anything, like many opportunities that others might have. But now, living in this country, you see what all can be there, possibly that we were fortunate to give it to our kids, which whatever our parents did to us. So it's just amazing to look back and see, really? But I never felt that way. So really they've done a great job in making sure that we never feel any of that.
Right. And you making the most of the upbringing, the values, the support that you received. So it's not financial necessarily, but it's there and uplifts and it gets you to where you are. And that's so impressive.
Yeah. I'll say, that's the best food I've ever had because it was always home-cooked food. And they really took care of us. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I had a big fat Greek family and we ate like, kings, even though there wasn't a lot of money there. My father was one of 10 children. I'm the youngest grandchild. So there was a lot of people around to feed, a lot of mouths. And no one ever went hungry. It was amazing. Yeah. So I definitely understand what you're talking about, and I'm sure lots of our listeners can relate as well. And it's so interesting to me that you chose anesthesiology, and it's funny because you say, it was money and research and being able to do both. But what's so interesting about it, and people don't, I think, really focus on this too much, but it's literally one of the most deadliest sciences, right? I mean, in medicine, you really have one's life in your hands when you're taking them under with anesthesia, right?
Yeah.
So it's very dangerous.
Many people ask me this question. You could have done a number of things. You could have done medicine, you could have done this, you could have done that, cardiology, oncology. But when I was in Jipmer, Pondicherry, which is down south, I was exposed to, when you do an internship as part of a medical school curriculum, I was exposed to some brilliant minds in several fields, and so you get to see which field is what you want to be. There is also an established reputation of certain fields where people always look up to that. You want to be that which others or the public looks up to. But for some reason, I was attracted to anesthesia because I was exposed to some really incredible people and talent around who just took me around and showed me what all is possible. And the stigma for anesthesiologists, you're behind the screen. Patients really do get to see you only once, right? They never get to see you in a long term, and it seems they may not even remember you. So the question was, would you choose a field where pretty much the patients don't remember you or don't know about you unless something goes wrong? So I was asked this question, why do you really want to take anesthesia? But I was just driven towards a couple of things. One is either internal medicine or anesthesia. Whatever I get first, I'll take it. And I just got the anesthesia first in the prestigious Institute of All India Institute of Medical Sciences and never looked back because I felt like it's one patient at a time. And it's literally like a lab. The surgery is like a lab. And it was exciting to get exposed to a number of things. And now I feel like there's the reason why I took anesthesia, because now I can really delve into things like consciousness, etc., into a little bit more depth.
Well, that's the most incredible part of your story now, is that you're revolutionizing something. So how did you make that leap from the science of it to what you're doing now? Let's talk about your journey there.
Yeah, so I was like anyone else. Like, I came to this country, and the first 4 years I had to redo my training because this country does not recognize training from outside. So I had to do that training here at that time. We were coming from India, where you're just barely lifting your head, and coming here and staying and living in a residence salary, married and with a young kid is not the easiest thing for us. So we were just going through those motions in the first 5 years, from 2000 to 2005. Again, I think my wife was very supportive. She was a computer engineer, but she never wanted to be in a different place than I. So we were together all the time with the kind of visa that we were in, and she didn't have the capacity to